this wig. And no con to wear it at this year. So I figured let's get some use out of it. I got my stupid love makeup on, but not really because I'm not a makeup guru. So close enough. I got my Gaga shirt on. So I figured it is the appropriate time to do a book tag. So because I'm in this getup and listening to Gaga probably more than my husband would really enjoy, I figured I'd look up and see if there's any Gaga book tags. And there is, in fact, a Gaga book tag. It was created by Books Are My Social Life. And I've also seen it on Julia Sapphire's channel. So this book tag was created a while ago, so there is a question on here that says something about her recent song, and it's not the recent song that's just come out, so we'll figure that out. But okay, let's just go right into this. So first question is Just Dance. It's a song about finding fun, happiness, and comfort in chaos. Find a book that can get you through or got you through a hard time. I have a couple of books, but the one I'm going to mention ultimately is Hamlet by William Shakespeare. I have read this a couple of times when I was going through a hard time. When I lost my grandmother a few years ago, this was ultimately the book I reached for. I'm not really sure why it was so comforting, I guess. Maybe because it deals with loss and grief and trying to kind of work past that. I mean, I obviously didn't go off and try to poison anyone or stab them, do anything. Okay, so none of that happened, but at the time it was very a comforting read, I guess, to see someone else kind of going through the motions of grief. So yeah, that would be the book. Second up would be Poker Face, a song about hiding some aspect of yourself and making people unsure about what's going on in your mind. Pick a book that gave you a vague impression and may have ended up being something you didn't expect. So for this, I don't have a copy with me because it is back in my parents' house. But that would be Beloved by Toni Morrison. I had to read that for a class when I was in college, and initially I was not really into it because it was dealing with things that were hard to read about, and I didn't really know what the hell was going on in that book, and then it reached a certain point and I realized kind of what was going on with a couple of the characters, and it got like a spooky aspect to it, and which I really ended up enjoying, and it was not something that I was initially expecting when we first started reading that book. And the ending was very intense and powerful, and yeah, it definitely went from being this book that I had to read that I wasn't happy about to being this really powerful and enjoyable book. So yeah, that's what I would say. Third question is Paparazzi. The lyrics go, "I'm your biggest fan. I'll follow you until you love me." Pick a book, series, or author you consider yourself to be a huge fan for. I am a huge fan of a lot of different authors and things. I have a lot of their books on my shelf, but for this one, I guess ultimately I would have to say Agatha Christie. This is Murder on the Orient Express, which is my absolute favorite of all of her books. I really love her mysteries in general, and I do like Tommy and Tuppence and Miss Marple and everything, but Poirot is where it's at. And this, especially mysteries involving him, are my favorite, and I really, really, really love Agatha Christie. My ultimate goal is to read every single thing she's ever written. I think I'm like maybe a third of the way there, but yeah. Alright, next up on the questions is bad romance. A song about being in a relationship where the romance never really works. Pick a book where you felt the romance was underdeveloped, problematic, or just unshippable. Ooh, I have a lot of those. I already probably mentioned them in the book on haul thing I showed you. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can keep going. Pretty much I have a problem with romances a good chunk of the time. 7 is Alejandro. I just can't be with you like this anymore. Pick a book that you once loved, but upon reread or reflection your thoughts differ. For this one, I would have to say The Shivering Sands by Victoria Holt. I remember my grandmother suggested I read these back when I was a teenager, when she caught me reading romance novels. She said these were more appropriate for my age group and they had mysteries. So I ended up reading a whole bunch of Victoria Holt and really loving her writing. I remember this was like my absolute favorite at the time, and I just reread this a couple of years ago and realized that I did not like the total romance that developed here. I didn't really enjoy some of the underlying things that were happening. It was not something that I minded at the time when I was a teenager with the things that I was into at the time. But reflecting as an adult, there were a couple of things in here that I did not enjoy, which was sad because I remember this was like really loving this when I was a kid. But of course this book still is very special to me. This and my other Victoria Holts that I have were my grandmother's, so I mean I'll ultimately probably reread them at different points, but yeah, my view has changed a little bit on this. So let's see, number whatever. Born This Way. Show us your favorite coming of age story, or a story where the characters went through a lot and from that learn to love and accept themselves. So I have a few coming of age stories I really enjoy, but I think one of my favorite ones would have to be the Princess Diaries series. I mean, this is the 3rd book, Princess in Love. These are by Meg Cabot. I really enjoy how this series ends. I really like the adult ending that was added to this as well. Yeah, I really, really, truly felt with Mia Thermopolis as she kind of grew up. I found this series when I was in the 9th or 10th grade, I think, and I became pretty quickly obsessed with it and related a hell of a lot to Mia. I also really liked, you know, writing, but didn't see it as like a talent that I particularly had. I thought that I was not talented at anything, and that I wasn't very good at anything. I also was like failing math and was really awkward and had issues talking to boys and just doing hopeless crushes and stuff like that. So I really kind of related to her a lot at the time. So having this to grow up with and ultimately get to a place where, you know, you find your talents and you kind of eventually, you know, like yourself. That's something that I really enjoyed. So yeah, this is probably my favorite coming of age series. So let's see. Next up is The Edge of Glory, a song about celebrating the life you live on Earth. When you're older and reflecting on your reading life, what is one book or series that will always stand out? Out of all of these, so this is a tough one because I would say Harry Potter has had such a huge impact on my life, but at the end of the day, I think that the series that's impacted me the most lately, impacted my kind of adult life as I am now, trying to, you know, still trying to find my way. I would say that the Tiffany Aching series by Terry Pratchett is probably the book that it will stand out as being really powerful ultimately. It's action-packed. It deals with a lot of topics that are important to me, and yeah, I would say this would be it. Then we have number 8, Applause. Going with the title, tell us about which fictional character or group you cheered on and applauded throughout the story. I think for this one, I would have to go with Mr. Alex Rider from the Alex Rider series. This is the first book, Stormbreaker. It is the movie adaptation cover with all the pictures inside. But this series, I actually read this to completion a couple of years ago. I started reading this, I think, when I was in high school, about the time when the movie came out, and I only read like the first 4 books or something. So I did finish the series a couple of years ago. Really, really loved it the whole time. I was really cheering Alex on, hoping that he could come into his own and find some semblance of normal eventually. So yeah, this was a big series for that. And the last question on here is Perfect Illusion, which at the time was Gaga's new song. I guess we should say Stupid Love because that's the most recent new song of hers. But anyway, pick a Gaga tell us about a recent or upcoming release that you loved or are excited to read. So there are a couple of releases coming up immediately that I'm excited to read, but the one I think that I am most excited to read that's coming out this year, I believe comes out in August, and it is Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend. It is the 3rd book in the Nevermore series. I'm still in the middle of Wondersmith, which is the 2nd book, but I just really, really like this series. I've been craving another magical school type thing, and that is it. And it's pretty much exactly what I wanted. It's just so much like a cross between like Harry Potter, and I keep getting Doctor Who vibes from it too for some reason. One of the characters kind of reminds me of the Doctor. So yeah, I am pretty excited about that. I'm hoping it'll still come out in August. I'm hoping nothing gets delayed. But yeah, that would be it. So that's this book tag. Yeah, here we go. Sitting here. They never tell you that wigs are really warm. I'm like very overheated right now. This is just... Okay, so I'm going to get back to what I was going to do before I filmed this and then took pictures pretending to be Lady Gaga. So I'm going to reorganize my books because I need to do something with my life right now. Thanks, guys.